Carolina BBQ Festival 2026 was the biggest and best yet. That's thanks to our sponsor partners, our pitmasters, and everyone who attended. You raised money for Operation Barbecue Relief while celebrating the diverse blend of barbecue flavors that make up Charlotte and the Carolinas. Special thanks to our partners who helped bring the heat to the Queen City, including Charlotte's Got a Lot, Texas Pete, Coca-Cola, Ben E. Keith, Kingsford, Inland Foods, Ryobi, U.S. Foods, Turtle Box, Good Stock by Nolan Ryan, Smithfield, Certified Angus Beef, Fun Outdoor Living, and Truliant Federal Credit Union. For more details on our regional brands and partners, please visit CarolinaBBQFest.org and stay tuned for details about our upcoming fall pig picking and our 2027 barbecue festival. All that coming soon. One pitmaster serving up the best bites at the Carolina BBQ Festival came from Virginia, the Hampton Roads region to be exact, along the southeast Virginia coast. That's where our guest today founded and now operates Redwood Smoke Shack, which Texas Monthly called one of the best Texas barbecue spots outside of Texas. We had a chance to meet briefly at the Carolina BBQ Festival, and I'm very excited to talk today with Bob Roberts, pitmaster of Redwood Smoke Shack. Bob, welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Hey, Jigger, thanks for having me on today, my man.
Yeah, fantastic. So by way of additional introduction for our guest here, I want you to envision in your mind the perfect barbecue meal, because we feel like that says a lot about somebody. So what is Bob Roberts' perfect, ideal barbecue meal?
Well, I'm gonna stick with the food that we make here at the restaurant. So I'm gonna kind of craft that tray that I would get if I came through my door.
Yeah.
Of course, it's gonna start with the Texas Trinity, right? I need a rib bone, I need a link of sausage, and I need moist brisket. I like to go jalapeno cheddar side, like I like that creaminess with the cheese that invokes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would add on a pork belly burn end, which is one of the bites that the bite that we served at the barbecue festival.
Yeah.
And then I probably would go over to the sides, and I would say our corn pudding kind of floats the line of a dessert and a side. And our pit smoked beans are very delicious. And then you gotta have some coleslaw. You gotta freshen it up at the end, and then you gotta hit it hard with our banana masu for dessert, man. That's my, and of course, Big Red all day.
Oh yeah, of course. That was a perfect list of sides for me too, Bob. I love the baked beans, and we know about that corn pudding here around the Carolinas, so that's good stuff. Comes from down there. So, that's a great way to introduce us to the Redwood Smoke Shack. So why don't you continue that a little bit about tell us what it is and maybe what folks can expect when they come on a visit.
So we are Texas. We say it's Texas inspired. We do kind of do a little Carolina flair every once in a while
Mm-hmm.
because we are here right at the the southernmost point of Virginia, and the we're an old school meat market, right? That's what our building is. It was a farm market, meat market. So it's kind of cool to be able to tell that story up here in Virginia, because I know a lot of the greats down in Texas
Mm-hmm.
started that way.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that I can continue that up here. And you wait in line, you go up to the cutter, and you just kind of craft that tray. So
Excellent. So it's Texas style. So that gives us a little bit of an idea of the way that you're leaning. Is there a most popular menu item there of all that stuff you mentioned on the platter? One thing's got to stand out.
I mean, our brisket, right, is 2 to
Yeah.
1 over anything else, of course. The product that you make the least on is the one that is most popular.
Of course.
But you can't be Texas if beef isn't your king, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, our beef ribs on Saturday, we do the big ass beef ribs on Saturday.
Yeah.
That was something that was unique for this area for a while because we just don't see it. But fortunately, with my connections that I've made in this wonderful craft hobby of barbecue, right? Now we take it a commercial setting, but
Mm-hmm.
I learn what the best restaurants use because I visit them. I talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're friends, right? If I got a question, they call me if they have a question. So it's kind of like that nice ebb and flow where we're trying to help each other out to further craft barbecue.
Yeah, advancing a great cause there. So 3 locations around Hampton Roads.
Yes, sir.
What makes Smoke Shack different, maybe from other barbecue or other barbecue folks would find in that region?
Okay, so the only people that I know that are doing craft barbecue well in multiple locations are gonna be like a Terry Black's or a Hurtado's, right?
Mhm.
And they're cooking on site. So what makes us different is that we cook on site at one of our locations.
Oh,
So our newest location that we opened up at the end of January of last year, so we've been open, what, 16 months, has a pit room with all of our smokers, and it has additional 3 smokers out back of there, and that's our central kitchen. We're
yeah.
cooking, we're doing our sides, everything. We have a delivery driver, and they're doing pull sheets every morning and delivering what is forecasted for the day to the other 2 locations. So it's all done in 1 location, serviced in 3. So we do a quite a large volume out of this. We did 210,000 pounds of brisket last year.
Wow.
So that was, I mean, our numbers, 70,000 links of house-made sausage. So you know how long it takes to make sausage, 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
So 70,000 links. We're going through about 400 pounds every 5 days.
Wow,
And
wow.
we're open Tuesday through Saturday,
Mhm.
11 AM to 8 PM, or sold out. So that's our model.
Interesting operation there. So I kind of want to go ahead and get on into the commissary piece. What kind of role has that played in your ability to try to build for the future for Redwood Smoke Shack?
Well, out of this location, we probably could add 1 more location, I'm guessing,
Mhm.
for volume capacity, and then we'd be at our max. I don't know where tomorrow leads for Redwood. You know, we purchased this property we're in now, so we have a rear building that has a test kitchen. I want to start doing barbecue classes on the weekends.
Mm.
We have a big field out back, so I'm actually talking with a local magazine tomorrow on maybe partnering for a barbecue fest for next year, because once
Cool.
we got bit by that bug down in Carolina BBQ Fest,
As
my
one does.
my team looked at me and they're like, "Dude, we can do this." And I'm like, "Well, with my connections, we could have a lot of cool people up here doing a nice throwdown in this back field." And,
Mhm.
I had one question when my team came back from that festival. I said, "What did you take home with you?" And each one of them got the message that I hope that they would get, which is all about barbecue culture, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
just "Oh, I'm just eating something for fuel." No, there's more to it than that. And with me and my trips to Texas and helping at the Houston Barbecue Fest for last 5 years, I see it firsthand, and it's hard to come
Mhm.
back to Virginia and tell that story because it's not well known. But I did meet, Nick, I wanna say, was it Nick Hess with, County Smoke
Oh, yeah, Ken
at
Hess. Yeah, your
Ken, yeah.
neighbor, kind of not really
Yeah.
neighbor, he's all the
Well,
way
he's
up at
in
the top of Virginia, right?
but it's funny because the conversations that we had that night at the bar,
Mhm. Yeah,
and he's like, "Dude, we gotta do some stuff. We gotta," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's you're a few hours away. We can hook up a trailer and be
sure.
there in 2 hours. No big deal, man."
Yeah,
Um,
connections happening there, and we'll
yeah.
talk more about the barbecue festival here. I kinda wanna stick to the smoke shack here for another minute or 2. I know that you guys, have catering. How does that layer into what you're operating into the addition of the 3 locations?
Yeah, so catering is probably, this time of the year, we're starting to gear up for holiday or for, graduations, right?
Mhm.
Um, we are not full service catering, so it's pickup only. We just introduced, because we have a Sprinter van that we used to use for a delivery van back in the day. So now at a certain dollar amount, we will offer delivery drop off.
Gotcha.
And typically I'm the one that's doing it because I'm trying to
Mm,
shake hands, I'm trying to introduce
sure.
myself, introduce the brand, and I think it's that extra layer of customer service that people are looking for nowadays that a lot of people aren't giving. Um, so catering is a good thing. I think we're probably only in the 5% to 7% of our business. Just like we do online to go orders, right? DoorDash, Grubhub. We have an app.
Mhm.
We have a full expo station that just does to go stuff. Um, and that probably runs about 15, 16% of our overall sales. So, but to back up of the history of Redwood Smoke Shack, this all started out of my backyard.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was,
it
brewing beer for a bunch of time, and a bunch of people would get together in my backyard to brew all day, and it's like, well, we probably should eat something while we're drinking. So so I bought a smoker on Craigslist for $60, like one of the old school Oklahoma Joes, the ones that actually have metal on them, not the
Mhm.
the crap that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
Um, and I started with wings and, ribs, short cook things, and people loved it, and I kinda got bit by the bug and built out a, whole hog trailer, and we would do luau's once a year and did some whole hog, and realized that, Texas barbecue was more my calling. I don't want sauce in my meat. I
Okay.
want if you have a sauce, I will try it, but I want the option. I don't want you just to put it in there for me. Now,
Right,
I
right.
did have my best bite at the Carolina BBQ Fest. I really wholeheartedly think that the Sam Jones whole hog, just because of the history that you're eating, right?
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
that just kind of it's like going to Snow's. Is the
Yeah,
food on the tray that good? Yeah, it's great, but it's the environment you're going in.
the history, right, and the history
Exactly.
says you're getting sauce with it.
Yep. So, so I reached out to, when I was gonna do a food truck, I went online and Facebook, and I, reached out to one of the Texas forums and said, "Hey, I'm really interested in getting, a bigger pit, and I want it to be one of these Oilers rotisserie." Just the ease of it, right? At this point, I really didn't know a whole lot about fire management, tended fires, all that stuff. So any help that I could get, I was like, "Well, this is a professional pit, but it does a lot of it for you."
Mhm.
So John Brotherton reached out immediately and said, "Hey, I know some stuff about it. I use a Bewley. I got a guy that is Oiler all the way." So he put me in contact with, Breck Weber with Tin Roof Barbecue,
Mhm.
and, that relationship after the first call was formed, and, I think a month and a half later, I was flying down and spending the week with him and staging and just kinda learning the pits, and then every year, that's where I go back and I help him at the Houston Barbecue Fest. So, it's that small, Bill Dumas is part of that conversation. I mean, it's nice that you could have these people's phone numbers, and you could call and be like, "Yo, Bill, I got a question, like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
going on with sausage," and he's like he'll deep dive into it. So,
Yeah, it's great to have that network. It's continuing education, right? In some professional realms, you're
yep,
required to do that. In this realm, you're required to do it if you want to keep up with what other folks are doing, or keep up with what your customers and your clientele are expected there. So you gave us a great introduction to smoking it up in the driveway and selling it to your neighbors. You evolved into a trailer that you crafted out there to work
yep,
around the original smoke shack, I suppose. How
yep.
long did it take you to get from driveway to really that desire to finally say, hey, we're good to go brick and mortar on this thing?
We did the food trailer for, 2.5 years.
Mm,
So, pretty much 2.5 years, I didn't have a day off. At that point, I was a food broker for K-12 in the military for the state of Virginia,
uh-huh.
but it allowed me my weekends off. My previous job, I ran food service for a whole university.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was on all the time.
Hmm.
So, this new job allowed some free time, and we found a trailer back where I grew up in the upstate New York area on eBay, and we drove up and bought it and came home, and you know it was so 2.5 years. And of course, when you start, you're not out there. We weren't out every. It was supposed to be one weekend a month was the agreement with my girlfriend, and then immediately I went to 2 weekends, and then once we hit four, like every Saturday, I had to hire somebody. So
Yeah, you realized it was going places, maybe try to
yeah.
hold on to there. So you mentioned a little bit, you got some history in the food service industry, serving probably large organizations in
Mhm.
various capacities. Obviously, getting some experience there that no doubt plays a great role in restaurant business. But what about your earlier history? Talk about barbecue in early life. And I know you're kind of from up in Syracuse area.
Yeah.
Any barbecue there that's discernible that you could really call out? What did you eat for barbecue?
So barbecue where I grew up was more of a term of like a family function.
Okay, like you
We're
mean a
going
cookout,
cookout,
right?
cookout, yeah. We're going over for a barbecue. It's, chicken and craft barbecue sauce on a grill. That's really
Uh-huh.
what it was for me. Never I didn't know what brisket was. I didn't know any of that stuff. And then when I graduated college and moved to Syracuse, there was Dinosaur Barbecue, which is more of kind of a honky tonk biker bar barbecue. It's not gonna be the best in a little fusion, but it was good.
Mhm, mhm.
And when I moved to Virginia to get that job with the university, the first barbecue that I really came in contact with for the style was called Currituck barbecue, whole hog on the way to the Outer Banks. So I'd go to the Outer
Mhm,
Banks in
mhm.
the summer, pass it, we'd get the, the mince sandwich. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's different, right? It was just
Mhm.
different. The vinegar, I thought it was great. And then I started doing some research and, I like crafting things. Brewing beer takes a week, 2 weeks, a month to age. If you don't enjoy the process, barbecue's not for you.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy the process, building out a business is not for you,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
You need to enjoy that. And that's what's cool about when you start being around people that have the same enjoyment out of that. That's when the magic starts to happen. It's like almost like a beautiful dance.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great perspective there to share with us. You talked about kind of moving up from the driveway, and then 2024, you get some notification from Texas Monthly, and the barbecue snob
Funny
is
funny story behind that, I was standing in the
yeah,
line with my wife on just a weekend trip to New York City just to before the real big, construction phase of our build out, started ramping up, and so we went up there for a long weekend. We were standing in the line at Katz's Deli outside waiting to get in,
yeah,
and
great
my
place.
production manager sent me a text. He's like, "Look at what we just saw," and it was that, and I was like, I can't be in a better place. I'm in line at this historical, I'm gonna have a great meal, and I just got this news. And then, it was
Yeah.
wild because I was in a meeting with my director of operations on the patio, and I looked up, and Daniel Vaughn came walking through the door with a tray, and I legit shit my pants. I was like, I go, Daniel Vaughn, and he looks at me and he started laughing, and I was like, oh crap. And my cutters, I'm not there to watch. I mean, nobody knows
Yeah, oh,
Daniel
that's how he
Vaughn.
likes it,
Oh,
right?
dude,
You get the a legitimate experience.
she knocked it out of the park. She did.
Yeah.
It was so proud, and, when we got those photos and we got that acknowledgement, it was just amazing. It really was.
Yeah, and how do you feel like that has affected your business? Is that, more people through the door, or is it maybe a level of recognition and acceptance?
Yeah, I think it's more, a level of recognition amongst our 4 walls, like, our
Mhm.
team can kinda stand up a little taller and
Yeah.
chest out a little bit more. Um, we're in Virginia, right? So, um I don't think there's a whole barbecue scene here. We have my friends Chris and Alex that own ZZQ, my buddy Adam that owns Old Colony Smokehouse. We're trying to really do our thing in this area,
Mhm.
and hopefully one day more and more will pop up that we can start stringing together like some cool barbecue crawls up here, and little trips from maybe Skylight. Skylight from me is only hour and a half, hour
Wow,
45.
yeah.
So, and then you got Old Colony on the way. I mean, we could string together some really good places. But recognition around here, it's just when I get some interest from a customer, then I will bring that up basically to say, hey, this is why. And a lot of it for us is this is why we buy the best quality meats, but we
Mm,
also have to charge you for them. This is
yeah.
why we're doing it because there's a level that you can't execute at. We get people in here that are, oh, I want a barbecue sandwich, and we look at them and we're like, we already know what you want, right? You want pulled pork, but it's either, oh, do you want pulled pork? Do you want pulled chicken? Do you want brisket? Do you want chopped brisket? Do you want chopped beef? There's so many different barbecue, but they're still seeing it. And I'm like, well, is this person going to get our message?
Mhm, mhm.
Right? Why did I just spend $13 on that when I could get it for 5 at a gas station? That's we're trying to find the people that really want to get it. And we are building that, right? When I started in the food truck, we were probably 4-1 pork to brisket.
Mm.
And, at that point, I'm doing like 4 pork butts and 1 brisket. So, now we're probably 8-1 brisket to anything else. So
That's interesting. It sounds like, in addition to kind of launching your business and figuring that out, you're educating the population about, what craft barbecue
100%.
is and why it's not
Yep.
just a $5 sandwich there.
Well, and if you go on any of our social medias, right, we're very active on that. We do a lot of lives. I wanna show people in the pit room. Not even just in the pit room. I wanna take them and I wanna walk them through the dish room to the prep kitchen, and I want them to see it in real time. I want them to see the procedures that we follow and why we execute and how we can execute at such a high level. Um, and a lot of people, like you said, they don't if they don't know, they just don't know, so we have to educate them. And
Yeah.
that's why I wanna do barbecue classes too. I mean, I got a lot of people ask about that. A lot of people that email us, "Hey, can I come up and just hang out in the pit room for a day?" And I'm like, we're cranking out, Fridays, let's say Thursday and Friday, we might have 100 briskets on Thursday, and on
Hmm.
Friday we might have 107. And on top of that, you got 100 pounds of sausage cold smoking. You got I don't know 45 pork butts. You got pork belly. I mean, you have it's a lot.
It's a lot going on.
My pit team does, and that's just the meat side. That's not
Yeah.
your coleslaw that we're shredding ourselves. I mean, and nothing that we do comes out of a box. It is all scratch made.
There's not a lot of room for tourists to stand and watch, but certainly you
No,
can accommodate to a degree.
so on Tuesday, we open up a half hour early to have the local high school culinary team come in.
Oh, cool.
There's 38 of them,
Yeah.
and the teacher, the chef, is the first guy I hired on the food truck. So he started this with me. So it's kind of cool to be
Yeah.
able
Yeah.
to get in 17, 18-year-olds. But we brought them through the line, we fed them, and then we took them on a tour, Q&A, brought them back to the food trailer, show them how it started. Right. I think a lot of these young kids need to know that things aren't just given to you.
Hmm.
It is a lot of work. It is a lot of passion. It's going to break you down to you're just a puddle on the ground, and you just somehow got to get back up and form yourself into something that's functional. I mean, it's hard. It's hard, but it's also rewarding when you see that smiling face, and somebody comes up afterwards and just walks in the pit room and says, "I just need to tell you guys that was the best thing I've ever had." That is cool.
Yeah, and you're going to flip a switch somewhere along the way with somebody that says, "This could be a career opportunity for
Yep.
me. I could see myself doing this." So, speaking of doing this, Bob, now that you're running a lot of locations here, you're not in the driveway anymore. How much time are you still spending doing the cooking and the smoking and that aspect of it?
Not enough, right? I'm a businessman now.
Yeah,
When I used to brew, I would listen to a lot of podcasts way back in the day, and it was the only way to learn back then. And I remember like it was yesterday. Jamil Zainasheff said, "Brewing beer is the easy part, right? It's running the business that's the hard part, right?
yeah,
Brewing beer is 10%, business is 90. Same thing with barbecue. I don't, unless my pit guys like we have for the next few weeks. Um, we have a couple different going on vacation. So, my pit master assured me that, he didn't need me, but I love coming in and being the 2:30 guy. I'll be the 2:30. I'll light the fires, I'll get the ribs and chicken on, and I'll just kind of hang and start getting, I just like to stare outside. I like take it in because that's all I used
yeah.
to do. I mean, in the beginning, it was me. It was me cooking. It was me going on front and serving, and that's just what it was. And so many mornings and many nights, I'm just staring up at the smokestack, being like, I can't believe this is actually happening. And now when I do it, I almost get that same goosebumps because I don't do it very often. Um, so, and it's hard when you're around the food all day, every day,
Hmm.
to get excited about it still. And that's where like going to this barbecue fest and seeing what other people do, different cooking techniques, different products. We stopped on the way down to Damp Good and talked with Nick for a while.
Yeah.
And actually, my pit master just had a call with him yesterday for like a half hour, just trying to pick his brain on a couple things because we saw at his place that we just, hey, we kind of like that idea. Can you
Hmm.
kind of explain it a little bit more? And that's what's also cool about barbecue. It's almost, I equate it to craft beer. There's no secrets, right? If you need something, you pick up the phone and you say, "Hey, I need a 1,000-gallon pit for a festival. Can I borrow yours?" Or, "Hey, what brisket are you using? Because I'm getting shorted." And it's everybody's. If you're gonna put the time in like we do, and you're gonna stare at a fire to get this goodness thing at the end of that road, we're all just a little crazy in the mind, and I think we all can get along. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a collaborative community of people with, can appreciate the same hardships and also kind of have some end goals in mind
Mhm.
while they're working on it. And we're talking with Bob Roberts, the pitmaster and founder of Redwood Smoke Shack in Hampton Roads, Virginia. He was among more than 20 pitmasters participating in that barbecue Saturday at the Carolina BBQ Festival, April 18th in uptown Charlotte. Add the Friday night kickoff on the 17th, 30 pitmasters serving up some of the best barbecue bites that you'll find around. It's a great spring weekend to block on your calendar every year. Be sure to visit
Guaranteed to
Carolina
have a good
BBQ.
time. That was
Yes,
a
definitely.
blast.
It was. You visit CarolinaBBQFest.org. You can stay connected with the festival. You'll be the first to find out the dates for next year, as well as the stuff about the fall pig picking. Last year, that was a big time at Mac's Speed Shop. You don't want to miss the 2026 installment of the pig picking. Stay tuned for dates and ticket details. So, Bob, talk to us about the barbecue festival. First, how did you get involved with Sweet Lou in the game?
So funny because at a Houston barbecue fest a few years back, he came up to me when I was working the tin roof tent,
Hmm.
and he started talking to me about, yeah, yeah, I know this place, and I told him, I was like, well, I don't work here, I just came down. He's like, oh, well, I own this barbecue place, and he's like, do you think they'd let me like tour their building? And I was like, yeah, Breck, no problem. So if you're gonna hang out till after the fest, follow us back to the restaurant. So he toured the tin roof, which is a very impressive piece of property. It's got so
Hmm.
much history. It's just got that, what I would assume be a Texas, like the best Texas barbecue joint feel.
Yeah.
Um, so I met him just on a whim, and then when I was in line at TSA flying out, he was right in front of me, so we talked a little bit longer. But he reached out. I mean, he came up with his sons a couple years back and ate at the restaurant, and he reached out probably 6 8 months ago saying, "Hey, I think it'd be cool if you could make your way down for this." And I told him, hell yeah, man. I've been waiting for an invitation to like a real barbecue festival to
Yeah.
represent ourselves rather
Yeah.
than, I don't mind helping other people, but
Hmm.
I think we can stand on our own now, that we can be in the same conversation with a lot of these people that I look up to. So it's good that I can say that, and I'm thankful for the army that's behind me. Um, so I was thrilled, and we just had a blast. I mean, it was a great time from the pre-party. It was a very well, and me coming from events and all that other stuff, it
Hmm.
was a well-run festival. It really was. The weather was spectacular. The food was amazing, the drinks were amazing, the music was great, Turtle Box and that
Yeah.
DJ
Yeah.
was phenomenal. I got to meet a lot of people, that I have read about or follow, so that was kinda cool. And
Hmm.
then, when we get these little nuggets, these little, blogs that get dropped about, oh, the, Redwood Smoke Shack with their pork belly, I was like, that's amazing, right? And
Yeah.
it I think, I hope that there's another festival in the future that we get invited to. I know we're already slated for next year, but,
Great.
I got that bug now, like, I wanna go out there and showcase who we are and put out some really badass food.
Yeah, and that's definitely what everybody got to enjoy on Saturday and Friday. Of all that food, were there any's that stood out to you? What did you enjoy the most? And maybe what surprised you outside of, the Sam Jones? I know we spoke about Sam
Yeah,
Jones.
yeah. Well, I think Sam Jones is the surprising one because I've had it
Okay.
before, right? I've had it before at Skylight, I've had it before at Sam Jones, so I didn't think I'd have that same, aha moment again twice, right?
Uh-huh.
So that was a surprising one. The one that I wanted to try is my boy John G's, right, Garrett?
Mhm.
And he brought his brisket fried rice,
Yeah.
and I've heard about it, and I'm 4.5 hours from him, so I'm not going there on a Saturday. I'm open on a Saturday, so I gotta be at my restaurant. But being able to have that brisket fried rice, it was amazing. I don't eat seafood, so I didn't have the pleasure of having the redfish,
Uh-huh.
but I did have the pepper chutney compote that they put on top of it. I
Oh,
had some
right.
of that, and that was very flavorful. So
Oh,
I
it
only I
was.
only can imagine what that was like. Um, the tomahawk steak from TMG Pits, when we were all cleaning up, and he finally, from the live fire, cut into that tomahawk, that was phenomenal too.
Yeah, yeah. So, but what about the other pork belly, the burnt end? We had a few dueling scenarios. There were a couple of wings, there were a couple of sausages, three
Mhm.
sausages, and then you and Dylan Cook
Yep.
for Fork Grove Barbecue. Not the same thing, similar, not the same. But what are your thoughts on his? And do you guys compare notes?
So we didn't compare notes. That was the second time. Again, I met him at a Houston barbecue fest too.
Okay.
But that's the second time that I've run into him. And I was just in pit envy, just looking over his rig that he's got. I mean, you
Very
can't,
cool.
dude, you can't design a better pit. I was like, that is
Yeah.
the pit of pits. Um, and looking, we do our pork bellies completely differently.
Okay.
which is the beauty about, you know, any type of barbecue is that you cook the same thing and it's
Hmm.
your procedures are going to be different. I love the jalapeno relish, the cowboy candy.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that the sweet heat that lingered. For me, my ideal pork belly is the jiggly like melts in your mouth. His was a little bit because smaller cubes. His a little bit firmer,
Hmm.
um, but still delicious. Way more smoke flavor on his than ours because I think every time we glaze ours, we're covering up that layer of smoke. And we burn clean fires as a rule of thumb. We're just kind of if somebody's like, oh, what's your cooking technique? We burn clean fires. Our pits, there's only one, the M&M rotisserie that we do our pork butt and pork ribs in. We can give it a little bit more dirty smoke, and by design, that pit's going to give you a little bit more dirty smoke. So those are kind of our smokier items, but by design, we do a clean fire across the board. I mean, we have M&M thousands, we have primitive pit thousands, we have a Bewley, and we have a 500 too. So
Yeah. And all real wood smoking too, right?
yeah, we go through a cord and a half of wood every 5 days. So
Seems like a lot. So anything
it
that
is a
you
lot.
guys, as you're coming and thinking about next year, anything that maybe you try to do different when you come back to the festival next year?
You know, I don't know different. I think, yeah, actually, I do know different. I did not. I was so consumed with working our tent and like being in the moment that I did not go around and try everybody's food, and I didn't go around and network me and my business enough to the vendors that were there.
Hmm.
So that was the one thing that it's like almost in my mind running a business, I blew an opportunity in some regards. Um, because we're doing nothing different and probably at a higher volume than 90% of the barbecue people out there,
Hmm.
with just the volume we pump out. That you know, I kind of want to be in that, like, hey, Turtle Box, you know, Redwood Smoke Shack, yeah, you know, they use our Turtle Box in the pit room, right? I mean, I think if other people can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I want to do it. I want to be proud of what we do, and I want to show this area that, you know, a little old barbecue joint can bring some national spotlight in this area,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the conversation that's going to be with that magazine, that local magazine,
Hmm.
because you know they try to always get outsiders in, and I'm like, well, I can pull on my connections, and we can get these legit people in here, and now you're going to get people from, you know, hours away that are coming here specifically for that event. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to call Lewis and be like, dude, you got to give me your timeline of how you plan this thing, because they did a really good job. Lewis and Aaron, they did a killer job. So
They always do. Get on his calendar now. Start planning it now for next year. Obviously, keeping it realistic. But like you said, the festival over its 5 years has been a great incubating space, both for itself and for other pitmasters, and I'll say for our podcast itself. It's grown as the festival has grown. It's been an exciting time for us. So
so
you've
Chigger,
been
I didn't I
generous with
didn't
the
I didn't ask you. I got a question for you, man. I know you're
okay.
always putting questions. So break down our bite that you had at the festival, because I never talked to you about it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I would say that it was one of my top bites. I've reported it out on the podcast, and I shared that with the smoke sheet. Out of 20 different bites, you can't pick just one, but it was definitely one of the 5 or 6 that I enjoyed the most at the festival. It was a big bite, just like you said. It had a melt in your mouth quality, a great flavor on it. I loved the slaw and the pork rind that came along with it was
Hmm.
really cool as well. I think you and my friend Tank Jackson got some things to talk about with pork rinds. Maybe y'all can. I think you got something on him there.
Okay. Well, the best is our pork rinds. You take that pimento cheese and you use that pork rind as like a little
Yeah.
spoon. Woo wee.
Yeah, it's really good. Love to see that. So I thought you guys did great. It was a fantastic, and like you say, it's nice to have some new folks from new
Yeah.
places and new bites out there.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so we enjoyed it very much. Thanks for asking me the question. You're right. I'm always the interviewer, not the interviewee, but we're going to wrap up this interview, Bob. And I want to put it to you. What keeps your fire burning? Why do you keep doing all this stuff? Thinking about a new festival in your town and expansion in your business and learning all along the way. What keeps that fire burning?
I mean, it's got to be the customers. It's got to be the people, the ones that actually care about what you do. You know, I understand I can't please everybody, but if I don't have to wear a shirt and tie anymore, and I can kind of what I call my pajamas, right? I wear wild clothes. That's just kind of my MO.
Yeah.
But if I can do that every day and barbecue allows me to do that, yeah, I'm gonna have some bad days, but it's the fact that I can craft something that people actually want to get in their car and come back for. I can make a connection, right? I got a lot of friends now that started as customers, people that come in on a regular that hang out for, an hour, hour and a half, just shooting the breeze. That's cool, right? I'm
Yeah.
creating something that wasn't up here before. And that's all I'm really trying to do. I'm not saying that mine's better than the dudes down the street. Never once am I saying that. But if you want this and you want to execute it here, it's going to be consistent every time. I can guarantee you
And that, my friends, is a final word from Bob Roberts, founder and pitmaster for Redwood Smoke Shack, with 3 locations around Hampton Roads. That's Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and Suffolk as
Yes,
well,
sir.
all around coastal Virginia and the southeast part of the state. You can learn more at Redwood Smoke Shack, all one word, all spelled out, redwoodsmokeshack.com, and be sure to follow Redwood on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Like Bob said, always got stuff coming up there. I caught a live moment today. You guys were stirring up the collard greens. Very cool.
Yeah,
Bob,
yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Chigger.
You've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, sponsored by the Carolina BBQ Festival. Visit carolinabbqfest.org, sign up, stay in touch, and be sure to follow Carolina Barbecue Festival on Instagram and Facebook. These are the best places to see all the cool things being created by the Carolina Barbecue Fest family of pitmasters, including now Bob Roberts, and to find out the latest news about what's coming over the event schedule coming soon. To our audience, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. If you like what you hear, share our podcast with your food-loving friends, and please give us a 5-star rating on your favorite stream. Visit lowslowbbqshow.com for the complete library of podcast interviews with the best pitmasters in the Carolinas and beyond. We've got our blog there as well, some of my opinions, reviews, news, festival stuff, all that at lowslowbbqshow.com, where you can also sign up for a weekly newsletter. The Low and Slow Barbecue Show is proud to be part of the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. That's where Andrew Moose is the producer of our podcast, and many others on the Mesh network. You can find them all at the Mesh.tv. That's where you'll find the Low and Slow Barbecue Show as well. And I'm your host, Chigger Willard, reminding you that for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.